Good morning. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome to today's video. If you guys are watching live with me this morning, please say hello so I can say hi back to you. And then if you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay so I can make sure I come on later and say hi to you then. So today we are going to be talking about 4 mindful eating myths. We're going to bust some myths about mindful eating. So if you guys have tried mindful eating before or heard of mindful eating before, I would love to hear in the comments on what your experience is with that, or if you know what it is, or if you have no idea. So just leave me a little comment saying, yeah, I know, or yeah, I don't know, or I don't care. And then before we get started on this topic this morning, you guys, if you guys are watching this on Facebook this morning, I would encourage you to head on over to YouTube, type in my first and last name, hit the subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications for every time that I come live, which is around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday to Friday. So let me just bring up my video here to make sure I can see you guys popping in and say hello. There we are. There's my face. Okay, so, before I begin though, I wanted to, we're going to chat about this stuff, busting some myths about mindful eating. And before we start, I want to make sure that you guys know about a 5-day mindful eating challenge that I am hosting in my Imperfectly Perfect You community. This is a 5-day challenge where we really just start to introduce the mindful eating kind of framework and how it can really help you to make peace with food and heal your relationship with food, which is super important. And it has transformed the way that I view what I eat and all that amazing stuff. So it has kind of allowed me to ditch the diet mentality, which I think is super important. So head on over to my group. The link is in the description of this video. I'll pop that up here quick. So imperfectlyperfectyou.ca, or just type in Imperfectly Perfect You on Facebook and you can join us. And that challenge is free and it will be housed in the guide section of the group after the challenge is done. And there are always like giveaways and just fun interactive posts and just workbooks usually, or prompts to allow you to deepen the practice and the challenge and really start to transform the way that you feel about food and in specific to this challenge. So let's get into it, you guys. So 4 mindful eating myths. So the first myth that we are going to bust today is that mindful eating is a fad diet. So that is not true. The true mindful eating it's timeless and it's sustainable. And mindful eating is not about restricting food. It's about being present in the moment, and it's kind of learning to honor your body and its needs, which is super important. And it's listening and responding with care and kindness, which is so much of what dieting is not. You usually beat yourself up, you restrict yourself with different foods, you feel guilty when you do eat those foods. Like, it's a very vicious cycle that it doesn't end well. Just to give you guys a little bit of background on my story, I went on a weight loss journey of thinking that was the answer to my happiness and my inner peace, only to lose almost 100 pounds, realizing that I was still hating my body just as much as I did, 100 pounds heavier. And so that is why I have turned to mindful eating and this whole inner healing journey on really realizing that my inner world creates my outer world. Yes, physical appearance is one aspect of who I am, but that is not all of who I am. And so mindful eating has really allowed me to tune into that piece of my kind of puzzle that I am putting together in my life. And it has really fit really well with all of the other things that I'm incorporating into my life to become the best version of myself and to heal, kind of do that inner healing that is super important in our journeys. So that is our first myth, is that mindful eating is a fad diet, because it is not. It is not. Did you hear me? It is not. And so our next myth that we're going to bust is that mindful eating requires a lot of time. So I know if a person hears mindful eating, you're probably going to think that you have to sit there in silence and take 5 hours to eat your meal, and that you just don't have time for that, right? And I get it. We are busy people. Life is busy. And I know mindful eating can actually seem, when you're first being introduced to it, of like, I don't have time for that. I'm busy. I just got to eat and go. But once you actually understand what it is, you'll actually gain valuable time back. Because when you think about all the planning, thinking, and worrying that you do about food every day, you're not going to have to do that anymore. You're going to make choices that nourish and feed your body and your soul, and you don't have to have that kind of pressure put on yourself. So yes, okay, it takes some time to get used to the whole method of what mindful eating is. But once you understand it, you are going to feel like you've gained that time back, and you kind of have, found food freedom, which is really the whole purpose of this method. And so our next myth that we're going to bust this morning is that it's not possible to be mindful when you're socializing. So I get it. I probably thought that as well. I know in my community rate this morning, when I had kind of told them about the challenge, the U.S. is, if you live in the USA, you have Thanksgiving coming up this next week. And that's actually when I'm doing this challenge. So it's like, it's actually probably perfect timing in the fact that, and I didn't do it on purpose, but I feel like when people hear like an eating challenge or a diet challenge, you automatically think of like, well, crap, I have this social event coming up. I'm not going to be able to do it. So I can't start it until later. So the cool thing about that is that really mindful eating, it's not something that you have to plan for, or that you have to, always be thinking about in the back of your mind and worrying about. And it's not just about giving your food full attention. Like, yes, that's an aspect of the method, is kind of being mindful of your food, and giving your food attention. But however, it's not just about giving your food full attention. It's really about getting to know your body. And really, I say this a lot when I'm talking about this topic, is that typically when we are doing a diet or a eating plan or something like that we constantly disregard how our body is feeling. Because your diet tells you when to eat, how much to eat. It lots of times forces you to weigh what you eat, and it's really toxic. And so when you don't have that weighing down on you, it really changes the way that you view eating. And it's really coming back to getting to know your body and connecting to your body and looking for your body's feedback signals to tell you if it's hungry, if it's full, or hey, I don't like this, or stop eating this. It's not what I want right now. Like something that happened to me even last night good morning, Cindy Kelly. I see you there. Something that happened to me last night, which I don't know if I've ever done, is I was drinking a Coke. I don't often drink Coke. Like I usually drink bubbly or AHA just because I like it better. And I've kind of gotten out of the habit of having so much pop. But what I did is I wanted it, so then I had it, and I got myself a glass with ice, and I was drinking it. And about halfway through, I just was drinking it and like noticing what I was feeling, and I'm like, I don't want this anymore. Like I had about half of it, and I'm like, that's good. Like I don't really need anymore. So I actually took it upstairs and gave it to one of my kids, and I'm like, do you guys want this? I don't want it anymore. And that's not something I would have ever done before. So when you start to really know your body's signals of saying like, hey, stop this, or hey, I don't like it, or hey, I'm full, or hey, I'm hungry, it really just brings the connection back to your body. And that's what all of this is about. And I think I've really taken on to this method so much is because, with my yoga practices and meditation and all these things that I was doing in my life to connect back to my body, my diet or my eating was missing from that piece, that I wasn't being mindful with my eating. So that was kind of a piece of the puzzle that I knew I needed to figure out. So it is possible to socialize when you're being mindful and kind of practicing mindful eating. You're still allowed to eat Thanksgiving dinner. You're still allowed to eat Christmas dinner. It's just really the simple thought, and I know it's not simple when you first do it, but it's the thought of just really tuning into your body as you're eating that meal. Savoring all your senses as you're enjoying that meal, but really starting to notice of like, where your body is when it's full and when it's hungry, and kind of learn to recognize the feedback that your body gives you when it's starting to be full, and being able to know enough to stop when you get to that point. So it's really interesting. And once you kind of start to do it, I know I will say too that as I've been doing this method, that there probably hasn't been very many times where I have been painfully full, where that's something that I used to experience a lot. And since I've kind of really started the mindful eating living into my life, there are not very many occasions where I eat past my fullness level, like that I overeat to the point that I'm like laying on the ground saying like, oh, my belly is so full. So it's actually like when you start to, and there's small changes that you don't really recognize until you take a step back and be like, oh, hey, you know what? I don't know if I feel like that anymore. Or, hey, I was able to do this where that's not something I could have done before. So I think it's really important to realize that they're just small little steps that you don't really always recognize. So moving into our next myth, when we are mindful, we stop overeating and emotional eating. So I know people have the perception of when you discover mindful eating that all of a sudden a magical wand is waved and you are no longer overeating and you're no longer emotional eating. So I'm sorry, but no, it's not a magical cure or pill or, there's not a fairy that just waves a wand and you are cured of all of your imperfections. This isn't a fix. Mindful eating is not a fix to if you have, let's say you have emotional eating disorders, or if you are like a chronic overeater, these things are not going to fix those. Those things would need professional help. But the beauty about mindful eating is that it is accepting imperfection. And that is so much of what I do. Like my community, my free community is imperfectly perfect you. So it's learning to accept that you will overdo it sometimes with your eating, and you will do it again because you're human. And that's just accepting imperfection is such a big part of all of this. It's a part of, when, like so much of what I do is, accepting ourselves for who we are and respecting our bodies and all those things. But it's really coming down to accepting imperfection, accepting that we will make mistakes. We will overdo it. We will, we'll overdo it again and again because we are human and it'll happen again. So the good news is that mindful eating is how we respond to ourselves and the experiences that follow. We kind of recognize those signs of guilt that we may not have been able to recognize before. And then mindful eating teaches you how to kind of use that positive self-talk to make those kind of guilty thoughts go away. And mindful eating really allows you to recognize that food is food, and there is no shame involved with eating ever, or there shouldn't be. It's really just learning to really deeply trust yourself and trust yourself around food again. And like our bodies are much wiser than we have ever imagined once we start to connect back to them and kind of disconnect from the whole diet industry and the diet culture and really come back to listening to our bodies. And really, I think the most important part of mindful eating is food freedom, which is so mind-blowing when you start to think about it, being able to be free from the guilt and the shame that comes from, having that, cookie or having that bag of chips or having, all those things that typically we are taught that those things are shameful. And when we eat those, we should feel guilty. And never connecting back to our body and like connecting to your senses as you eat those foods, connecting to how you feel before, during, after, and that you are going to have that cookie once in a while, and you are going to have that bag of chips once in a while, and that you are free to do that without guilt or shame. And so that is really kind of 4 myths for you guys to kind of think about if you have been ever heard of mindful eating, but just really thought of like, oh, well, that's just giving up on ever losing weight, and that's just being unhealthy, and there's so many myths around it, and it's really not that way. And it's just been such an important part of my journey and discovering that once I can connect back to my body, that I feel a lot different, and I feel like a weight has been lifted, and not a physical weight, but this mental and emotional weight that was always making me feel guilty for doing anything that was not, accepted as okay when it comes to the diet world. So if that interests you at all and you kind of have felt like you have kind of gained some kind of interest in the whole mindful eating world, once again, if you guys didn't catch this in the beginning of the video, I have a 5-day mindful eating challenge from November 22nd to 26th in my community, Imperfectly Perfect You. There will be prizes that we'll give away, and there will be lots of just really basic knowledge on how to help you start this journey and really start to connect back to your body. So if you guys are interested in that challenge, just hit the link to my group in the description of the video. And then before we head out of here, you guys, I have a program called the Self-Love Revolution with Martina. It is a program that is connecting women to finding self-love at any size through my 7 key areas of finding my self-love at any size method, which is really connecting to things to improve your mindset, to find movement you love, to discover mindful eating, to build community, to have those self-love practices of self-care and self-esteem, to improve your body image through a whole kind of program that I have designed to help you to increase your body image and improve your body image and just really start to feel connected to your body and accept and respect your body, which is so important. And then we also connect to some mystic and holistic approaches that help you to discover that side of things, which have really helped me in my journey as well. So that program is 40% off right now, you guys. It's a crazy amount off. You get me as your coach for life. We do weekly group coaching sessions that can be either watched live or on a replay. There is like a whole program that takes you through my self-love at any size method to just help you really to discover who you are, to kind of find your happiness again, kind of feel unstuck, and to really start to find your purpose. And so I would love to guide you through this journey and help you to find self-love at any size. If you want to reach out to me, you can either take a look at the program that's in the description of this video, or you can message me the word self-love, and I would love to chat to you more about what the program is and how you can gain access to that. And what else did I want to say? I've lost it now. Oh yeah, if you are looking at the program and you are questioning the price, then make sure that you use the code MAGICVIP, and that gains you access to the program at the 40% off that I've described. And one thing that I want to make sure people are aware of is that I accommodate any budget. I know that oftentimes we as women have a really hard time investing in ourselves and putting ourselves first. And I want you to be able to do that. So I will accommodate any budget. So please message me that word self-love, and I would love to chat to you about how we can make that happen for you. Because I want to see you shine, and I want to see you live that life of purpose and love yourself and accept and respect your body through all of the stages. And just know that you have a community of people that are here to support you through that. So anyway, that's all I wanted to chat to you guys about this morning. I saw Janice in here and Jessica and Cindy Kelly. So thank you guys for popping in, and we will see you guys tomorrow for tomorrow's video. Have the best day.